Good morning to everyone. Hello, thank you for your coming. Good morning, my name is Jaroslav Franz, and I'm partly responsible for this week of lecturing, as we call it, International Teaching Week. And it's my pleasure to open traditional second round of International Teaching Weeks at the Faculty of Theology. It's only the second year we are working on that platform, and we are very happy that our audience, as well our guests, are getting, or the number of our guests is getting larger and larger. And today, it's my honor to invite 3 of our guests. 2 of them are from Poland. The first speaker is Paulina Sajna-Kosobucka. Sorry for my pronunciation. I was born in Moravia. The second one is Radoslav Sajna-Kunovsky. So thank you very much for your coming. Welcome. And the third one is from the most faraway destination. It's Rasul Akbari. He's from Mashhad, from Iran. However, right now he stays, nowadays he stays in Berlin as a post-PhD or postdoctoral researcher. And to introduce to you our special guests, to the audience, majority of them, or maybe almost of them, are students of our study program, Ethics and Culture in Media Communication. So they are going to be experts on media communication. And also thank you very much, our students, and for the technical support. So, and I wish you good luck with onlining our streams. One technical note: please, all of our students who are from the study program Ethics and Culture in Media Communication and who are enrolled in a C course, please don't forget to sign the sheet with your names. Otherwise, I cannot give you your credits. That's a very important information. If you do not sign the present, that's it. Just don't forget to put your name over there. Fine. So, but the floor is not mine, it's yours, Paulina. Please come forward, and the floor is yours, and we are looking forward for your presentation. And thank you very much once again for your coming. Welcome. Welcome.
Thank you so much for that. Okay. Hello, everyone. I need to open my presentation. 1 minute. Okay, so let's start. I will speak about BBC and CNN in the perspective of media convergence in the context of information architecture on websites and social media. My topic is a little bit technological, connected with media and ethics a little bit. I will also tell why, but in a few minutes. When we say about websites, the first thing which experts have in mind are UX design and user interface design. UX means user experience, but what is user experience? This is the experience of us, of users who use the websites, who use the social media. This is all what we feel when we use a website or a social medium. User interface is a layer between the server and the user. So this is everything what we click on, right? This is everything what we see on the monitor while visiting a website. Oh, I'm sorry. This is, interface is a program or device also enabling a user to communicate with computer. The purpose of UX design is to increase the functionality and usability of a given product, and consequently the satisfaction of the person who uses it. And user interface is related to digital products. So maybe I will go further. Information architecture, in turn, is an important set of elements of systems on which the positive UX of a given product or system depends. So, how to understand information architecture? When we analyze information architecture, we analyze layout, right? And links leading to information that user wants to get. We don't analyze content of information, I mean the posts and everything what we can read on the website, but headlines, buttons or bookmark names are parts of information architecture, right? So this is not everything what we write in a post, because this is content analysis. This is another form of analysis, but when we analyze information architecture, then we say about layouts and everything what, everything how the websites or the social medium is placed, the content how is placed on social medium, sorry. Yeah. And this, on the bottom, this is a part of your university website. And this is just a logo, right? A name of the university and menu, horizontal menu. And this is also a part of information architecture. So labels, these names of these links are also a part of information architecture. But when we go to a link, it will lead somewhere, but the content which is inside this link is not the subject of analysis, but we only analyze these names and the layout, right? This is the major point sorry, of information architecture. Yeah. So information architecture is the art and science of organizing, labeling, navigating, and searching on websites, intranets, online societies, and software to increase the usability and efficiency of information retrieval. The information architecture, the IA, shorter, deals with location on the content and consistency of the system as a whole. Organization, labeling, navigation, and searching are the 4 pillars, groups of systems, influencing functionality and usability, and also customer satisfaction is everything related with each other. Definition of information architecture to be continued. The information environment is to be understandable for recipient. So it's always designed with the user in mind, right? The user is the main subject for user maybe shouldn't be a subject, but you know what I mean. This is a center of this is a main goal, right? Why do the information architecture system should be perfect? This helps, this good IA helps people understand their surroundings and find what they are looking for, both online and offline. At airports, bus stations, even at universities, right? Everything should be the way to the information we want to get should be perfectly indicated, right? So when I want to get somewhere, I have to know how to do that, right? And this is what information architecture do. The information architect must adapt a product to users' needs, as I said. Information architect skills go beyond programming or web design. They should have skills in the field of information science, graphic design, but also journalism, editing, librarianship, and so on. What is the aim, the main goal of information research? Finding hidden IA errors or missing systems in a given interface can improve the quality of information processes, including user-friendly and trouble-free access to information, to content we look for. History of information architecture. This term was introduced by Richard Saul Wurman, the architect, a graphic designer, and he introduced this term in 1976. The information architecture has been with people since they learned how to communicate, giving form and structures to messages communicated to each other. Richard Saul Wurman was the first one who introduced this term. He connected 2 terms of information and architecture together. Initially, the IA was defined as the practical skills of created information messages. In 1998, the first edition was published, entitled Information Architecture for World Wide Web, Designing Large-Scale Websites by Peter Morville and Louis Rosenfeld. And that was this book. Polar Bear book. That's a really popular book in the environment of information architects and also sometimes graphic designers. Yeah, the power of information architecture in general, the power of information itself, and the design of information. The IA is a field that meets the expectations related to the enormous increase in information and its forms. So, as I told you, information plus architecture was the base for this new term, information architecture. So, we give it a form, as far as information, we give it a form to understand the information, to share the information, and to remember it, right? So, why architecture is needed? Because its job is to describe the forms of objects in order to be able to analyze, produce, duplicate, organize, and name these objects. Parts of the information architecture, as I told you, it's organizational system, groups of systems, organizational systems, labeling systems, navigational systems, and search systems. The organizational one are ways of dividing information into categories and logically ordered network structure. For example, alphabetical, chronological, or thematic sections. But I will show you later, and it will be more understandable because now it can seem to be a little bit complicated. Labeling systems are ways of representing information, so naming categories, topics, and links, etc. Navigational systems are easy and understandable link structures that allow the user to access information, objects, or content areas. And search systems are based on all search options, including advanced filters, relevant suggestions for search terms, indexes, tag clouds, and so on. The information architecture in a computer, this is maybe more understandable in this way. You know, organizational systems are division of memory into disks, partitions, folders, files, right? Labeling systems are all the names that are inside in the computer, in the interface. Names of partitions, folders, files, icons. Navigation systems are the presence of a dictionary tree, shortcuts, desktops, favorites, these folders favorites, access paths, address bar, start menu, speed, dial bar, icons, right? So everything what let us get to one folder or different areas of information. And search systems are folders and file search, right? There are also many systems. Yeah, this is maybe a little bit complicated, but organizational systems are, for example, alphabetical scheme of organizing information, or we can set the informations by time or by places. I will show everything in 1 minute. For example, when we have open systems for everyone, it means that a user doesn't need to log into the systems, right? When it's closed, it means that a system needs to sign up in the given website to get more information. A hybrid means that it's both, right? You can get a given amount of information, but when you want to get more, then you need to sign up to our website. And for example, okay, I will show later everything. Labeling systems. Here, user understandable text and graphic labels. This is what I told you already. Well-functioning hyperlinks and correct hierarchy of headings. This is related to labeling systems. Navigation systems are more complex. This is, for example, for example, when we go to a website and we have others saw also, for example, a headline, then we know that other people went here before us and they found something really interesting, right? So the system makes us want to get there, right? I will show you everything in 1 minute. Okay, search systems, these are search engines mostly and how they work. There are also additional elements, for example, when the internet connection is secured, then we can say that our data won't leak and we are safe on the website. HTTPS, right? When we see the S next to the HTTP, then this is a sign that we are secured. For example, this is also a little element of information architecture, even if it doesn't help us to get to information, to information, but in general it gives us information that we are secure, right? For example, the ability to adapt cookies is also very important because in Europe there is a law, right, to accept cookies. We can accept them, we can set them, but in countries not in Europe, right? In another continents, there is no such options because there are no such laws, right? There is no such a law to add the options of adapting cookies, right? But this is also very helpful for a user because when I don't accept my cookies, then maybe someone will not hack me, right? Because sometimes this is like that. I accept cookies. One time I did something like that. I accepted cookies and then I had viruses on my computer because I accepted those files. I should have a choice what a cookie I want to get on my computer, right? So some web pages in Europe have such options. Some need to just give a user ability to accept the cookies, but when we can choose what we want from these cookies, then this is perfect. Yeah. So this is an example of alphabetical scheme of organization. We can the interface give us the possibility to choose everything what we need by keywords, by by words starting on the letter which interests us, right? This is by alphabet, so alphabetical scheme of organization. In general, this is not really very difficult, but it's difficult to talk about it maybe in this way. Chronological scheme of organization. This is content is placed by place, right? So when we have a website, we have a layout. So everything what's presented just in form by dates, right? From the newest to the oldest one. Geographical scheme of organization. We can look for informations by places, by localization, and this is just an example of such page that we enter a word, a place, I mean. And then we can look for information in this way by geographical scheme. Thematic scheme is just by topics, right? We can look for information by topics. So, for example, here, audiobooks or press, music, films, and so on. This is really helpful when we look for information. This supports our information needs. Okay, task-based scheme of organization. This is Google Docs, and here we can edit or insert, format, and so on. Right? Here we have options to create something. The task-based scheme is always an interface that let us choose some actions, right? So, for example, edit or display or something like that. This is in Polish, but I tried a little bit to translate. Audience scheme of organization. This is also from your website. So, you know, when we have some links like students, employees, and so on, we can then see that this is directed to some chosen part of people, right? So this website is created for specific audience. This is audience scheme of organization. This is simple in general. Examples of random systems, because there are too many systems to just talk about them in 1 hour, so I will just present on some fragments, parts of websites chosen by me. So the first one, what we see in the left side, the long one, is a vertical menu, and this is a horizontal menu, not horizontal, but a hierarchical model of presenting information, right? So this sometimes helps, sometimes not. This should be perfectly designed to be really helpful in terms of information architecture. On the top, under the headline, there is a horizontal menu, also hierarchical model, and you know, such models in menus should have 5 links to 7 links. When there are too many links, right, in one menu, then it's too much, and user can get chaotic a little bit, right? So it should be shorter. Here there are there is proper number of links. Yeah, and we have also advanced filters of looking for information. So we can, this is in Polish, but we can choose what price we are looking for. So when we want to get a product and we want to filter them by price, then advanced filters can help us. And ways of getting to your home, how to get this product. Yeah, you can search products by advanced filters. Also, we can explore information, and here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. We can explore information when we search for something, but some websites doesn't have the option to get through next sites, and this is then the information architecture is interrupted. And tag clouds is a popular way of looking for information, I guess. So you know what it means. And graphical labels are also important. Yeah, and lately watched. This is also very helpful for looking for information. Yeah, information architecture and ethics. The IA is designed with the user in mind, as I told, respectfully, without exclusions, including options also for disabled people, right? Such as contrast modification. This is related to ease of access. Enlarge the font, reduce the font size, turn on grayscale, switch contrast, turn on high contrast and underline links, and reset. These are examples how the access can be easy for people who are disabled, right? This also information architecture information architects have in mind to make the website better and the access to information better also for people who are disabled. 3 areas of the information architecture. When we design a website, we think of users mostly, but also about context and content, right? So the website should be well designed for users in a specific context in a given content, right? With a given content. Features of information environment. Here we have to remember that information that we designed a website should be, the information architecture should be credible, accessible, desirable, useful, usable, findable, and valuable, right? This is really very important. Yeah. Design thinking. This is a nice method to create information architecture. First, we have to empathize with people for who this website should be created, right? I say website, but it can be also be a social medium or another product, maybe not digital product, but everything what we create should be with user in mind. Also, then we have to define problems of users, what we can solve by the proper information architecture, how we can do it, all right? And then, when we know how to do this, then we create prototypes of websites. These are just mock-ups or wireframes of a given website that is not implicated yet, but it's a test, something for testing, right? Then when we have a prototype, a user can test this, and when it's okay, then it's getting to be introduced as a product, as a ready product, right? So this process can be repeated as long as we have the perfect product. Phenomena affecting the IA. The first one was iPhone, 2007, when iPhone appeared. Then when it was introduced, then the layout of iPhones was really was a motivation for information architects to start create better products, because the layout of iPhones were so perfect, right? And other mobile phones also, the companies that was implementing their products, they also thought that it's something that we need to change, right? The layout was not so perfect as in iPhones. That's just a theory, but maybe this is true. Facebook, in 2004, before the first iPhone, Facebook appeared, and this, as you can notice, Facebook also has a specific layout that is not changeable in general, and it's ordered, it's very clear, right? So this was also a role model for websites to look. Folksonomy, this is a term that describes the process of using digital contents, tags, including hashtags in Instagram. And Internet of Things concept development in about 2010, when it was introduced, it also affected information architecture. Methods and objectives of user research. We analyze traffic and usage through Google Analytics. Alexa also let us check the traffic and usage of website or social medium. Click tracking, this is a nice device. There are nice devices that let us observe which parts of websites are clicked the most. So for example, it turns out from many research shows that user click specific areas of websites, as well as eye tracking is really similar, but here we analyzed how a user looks at websites. So we look on the left upper corner of website and then go right to the right part of websites, and then we usually get lower, but I will show everything. Usability tests also we use to get opinions of users, how the system should be built, right? So interviews, ethnographic research, A/B tests, surveys, there are many different ways. Card sorting, qualitative heuristic method, benchmarking, comparative analysis, and so on. Objectives are user identification, getting to know their needs, and analysis of their behavior, as I told. How we classify users. Typical demographic profile is age, sex, race, nationality, the place of residence, level of education, income level, martial status, right, and occupation. But typical netographic profile, so how we analyze users in internet, is internet experience, internet use frequency, internet connection place, the time of use the internet, link speed, computer type, browser, type of monitor, and general behavior in the internet. So then we ask what the user is looking for on the internet and what type of website is he visiting. Media convergence theory, now a little bit less technological but also in the topic. Media convergence is the transformation of older media, such as print, into new cultural or technological forms. So this is also the process of combining various types of media into one activity or medium, resulting in a clash between tradition and modernity. With the present, the printed press with new electronic media, for example. The internet is a convergent technology as it combines video, sound, text, and graphics. British Broadcasting Company. This is one of subjects of my analysis. BBC is the main British public radio and television broadcaster, the largest of its kind in the world. So this should have perfectly designed information architecture. The corporation lives off the production of programs, television subscription. The BBC does not charge a license for listening to the radio, but only for watching one of the 8 TV channels, by the way, and the profits of its companies. In Great Britain, it does not display ads for companies or institutions. Part of it, BBC Worldwide, which mainly creates paid TV channels for foreign markets, as it's worldwide, operates on a commercial basis. The BBC was founded on the October 18th, 1922 by John Race. And CNN, cable news network, is the second subject of my study. CNN is the American TV news station. I lost something, I guess. It's a multinational cable news channels, headquarters in Atlanta, Georgia, United States. This news TV was founded on the June 1st, 1918 by Ted Turner and Reese Schonfeld. The station broadcasting news programs around the clock was the first TV channel of this type in the world. It currently belongs to the Warner Bros. Discovery, widely available in the United States and many other countries around the world. CNN broadcasts several versions of its channel. So why such a choice in terms of online channels? BBC and CNN are two of the most famous TV brands in the world. BBC is the world's first and largest public broadcaster. CNN is the world's first news channel. Both stations have become role models for other broadcasters. BBC as a model of public service broadcaster and CNN as news channel. Both stations compete in the global information market, reaching a global audience both in over 200 countries and territories around the world. According to the largest rankings, the BBC and CNN have the most popular websites of news TV stations with a huge global reach. So, they should have websites designed according to the highest standards of usability in terms of the information architecture. This also applies to the social media profiles of these broadcasters. There are so many followers, so this is also important to have well social media designed. But as I told you, Facebook, for example, or Instagram and other social media, they have very limited options to set the information architecture for all needs. This is one model for everyone, right? But there are some forms to choose to just promote our content more and so on. But this I will tell in a few minutes about. So why such a choice? Once again, BBC and CNN are TV news stations where information is a product, right? This is clear, I hope. That's why their websites should be perfect in terms of information architecture. And this is the example of, this is a fragment part of the website of BBC. quick analysis. Logo always should be placed on the left side of the page at the top, right? Because as I told you, by eye tracking, we had a research that a user always usually looks at the left upper corner of the website. So when we have there a logo, when you have a logo there, then it's easy to remember. Also, a logo should be well designed to be remembered, right? Next to the logo, we had an option to set up an account, right? To sign in. So reaching out to the user, an option to sign in a place that attracts attention, yeah. And organizational structure, board and shallow hierarchical model, horizontal menu. This is also very important. And the search engine should always be placed on the right side of the page at the top. Yeah, so this is well designed. But in general, some advertisements sometimes disrupts the IA design and literal organizational scheme we have below in the next headline. The next headlines are arranged chronologically. And I also had a research on 2 other devices, on iPad and on mobile phone, and we can notice the same tendency, right? So on the left side we have a logo, on the right side there is a search engine, and other elements are also the same. In the case of mobile phone, we can notice that the logo moved to the center, because on mobile phone, eye tracking also shows that user always look on mobile phone on the center, not on the left side, because this is smaller, and this is where our eyes go to in the monitor, right? Okay. Website responsiveness. Sorry. So yeah, when we have 100% view on our website, everything is like, search, VBC, we have more information. But when we make it bigger, enlarge it to 110, then the search engine hides to the level of the icon here, magnifying glass, right? Because there was no place enough for the long search engine. But not every website do this, and this really can make us distracted on other websites when they are not responsively designed, right? So when something is bad designed, then we have a problem to read it. Okay, CNN is also designed in a similar way. Here we have less links in horizontal menu, and this is definitely an advantage of the menu, because as I told you, when we have too many links, it's too difficult for user to find information. And on the right side we have a search engine, but the login button is on the right side, and this is also okay, because our site also gets to the right side of the website, and this is also okay. Okay, yeah. Chronological scheme here we have also, so we can explore news by date. And this is also for other devices. Okay, so I have 2 websites, and I will ask you a few questions if I can, okay? Okay, this will be fast. Just because I know this may be boring or... Okay. As you can see here, I can choose. Take me to settings, and I can choose what cookies I want on my PC to be installed, right? Because it saves on disk. But okay, I clicked yes, I agree. Well, so which website you find more user-friendly and why? I will go to CNN also. So let's have a look. Okay, I can't write here, but okay, I will maybe go there in this way. Okay. Okay, so have a look, okay? Which website you find more user-friendly and why? Which is more friendly for you? When you are on this website, which one seems to be better designed without any heavy talks or something like that? Just a fast look, right? We have headlines like that. One is bigger, the other are smaller, or news, right? Ad, okay. This ad here is maybe not really very, not really, it doesn't, okay, sorry, because I focused on the website. This ads is well designed on the right side, but it would be better if there would be no website. But the website has to have money, right? So these are sponsors, right? So these ads are very important to be here, but it can tease sometimes. Okay, here we have reels. Okay, many headlines. But it's okay. We are not lost. Oh, sorry, I clicked something. Okay. On the right side, we have latest business news. These points are very, very nice, I think. Okay. Future Planet. 3 main headlines. And this is really nice, I think, because we have highlighted only what's the most important, not only... Not all the other highlights that we don't need. Okay, so here we have a footer. Yeah, we can choose many languages and a short sitemap. We have here. Sitemap is a collection of links, right, on the bottom of the website. Okay, CNN. Oh, sorry. 1 minute. Okay, so please have a look, right? Because I would like to get an answer. Which one is more user-friendly for you? Okay, here we have these headlines are a little bit more messy, I guess. Maybe I've got an impression that there is more mess on this website, but okay, this advertisement is placed well, I guess, but in the case of BBC, it was on the right side, right? Here it's on the center. I don't know which option is better, but it depends on your experience, how you feel it. And yeah, here are headlines. Yeah, this is better graphically designed, I think. Okay, this is a large sitemap. So when a user would like to choose any link from the footer, it's easier, right, to get to the information than on the BBC, because this is here there is less links to choose, but maybe this is better because the user is doesn't feel really heavy with all these links, right? I hope you know what I mean. Yeah, so just getting to the app, okay, to the top, and yeah. So do you have an answer in mind? Which one is better? Or not? Yeah, both? Okay, yeah. Sorry? Yeah. Okay, so, yes, please. Okay, moment? Yeah, so I'm waiting for answers then. Okay, so hands up. Who wants to say something? Which one is better? BBC? Okay, okay. Oh, less people. Okay. Okay. BBC wins. Okay, thank you so much. So the second question: which schemes seem to be most clear and readable? So BBC also, right? Because I think headlines are more clear. Also BBC or CNN? Like, readable, yeah. Oh, I guess here is very much information. Yeah, here is maybe better ordered, but I don't know. Okay, so maybe let's treat it as okay. BBC seem to be more readable, right? Okay. Which search engine seems to be more professional? Please have a look. Here we have search engine, right? When we click on it, then we have search the BBC. And we don't have advanced filters and so on, but maybe this simplicity is better for user. But in the theory of information architecture, there is better when there are some advanced filters. But here I can't see any advanced filter. But well, let's have a look here. Here it seems to be more complex, right? But I can write any term to check how the website works, right? So I will write BBC, and maybe here I will write CNN. Okay. I know I have 15 minutes to go. I watch the time. Okay, so we still don't have any advanced filters, right? On the CNN, there is filter section. We can just try to look for information with filter. So news, business, entertainment, sport, travel, style, right? We can choose from where we want the information, but the user also doesn't have the obligation to know what information is in which section, right? So maybe this can cause a chaos, right? So in general, which one is better? This one with advanced filters or this without filter? Which one, BBC or CNN? Which search engine is better? How you think? Maybe. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so CNN wins. Okay, cool. Thank you so much. Okay, and a few more questions. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Right. The filters would be needed here. Yeah, so the fourth question I have, where do the advertisements interfere, collide the most? Where there are the most annoying, on BBC or on CNN? Here we have, on the right side, we have one advertisement, and here the big one advertisement. I guess that the website would look really better without this big advertisement, sorry, I don't know how to pronounce it. So well, two ads are better, shorter, and yeah, so this is how it looks like. And CNN, okay, one big advertisement appeared. Okay, but where are the? Okay, on the right side, and it does not collide much, right? But we need to do a voting again, I guess. So where these advertisements collide the most, on BBC or CNN, or both in general very similar? What do you think? Yeah, yeah.
Who is worse? Who is worse? BBC or CNN or both of them? Okay. So CNN, who is for CNN? Okay. Who is for BBC? Right. And who is for both of them?
Okay. Okay.
It's up to you to decide. It was the off-camera election.
Okay, so this is very difficult to. Thank you so much. This is difficult to say. In general, these ads should be smaller, I guess. On every website, it's just a little bit too big. Okay, and where is it easier to get? BBC Radio podcasts or CNN podcasts? Let's have a look. On the CNN, we can, okay, BBC, maybe let's start from here. BBC, I would like to get to the radio, and on the first side, I don't know how, right? But maybe here, then I have TV, weather and sounds. Maybe sounds. Okay, I go here. And okay, this is what I see. home music podcasts, my sounds. Okay, still I don't know where the radio is. Maybe this, listen live, radio first dance, and so on. So after clicking, then I see after some time that here the radio should be. But on CNN, I go to audio because here the link of audio is really very well shown on the web page. So well, let's click it. Okay, and okay, here I see on the left side there is a play, the graphic label of play, right? So I can choose this, and then I will listen to radio or podcast, because CNN is rather podcast, not radio. But here I also succeeded to get, but it was not really very easy, or maybe you think otherwise. So how you think? Was it easier to get to BBC or CNN? How you think? Voting? Yeah.
So which one is accessible?
Yeah, exactly.
Which one is easily accessible? CNN or BBC? First one is CNN. Who is for CNN?
Yeah. So you think the same?
BBC?
Okay.
BBC? Only one.
Yeah, that was more difficult. Okay, thank you so much. That was more difficult. Okay, so the last one, or the last two, I need to hurry up because I have 9 minutes, I see. Okay, are there any labels you don't understand? Just a quick look. Home, news, sport, real, work life, travel, future, culture, right? This is understandable, I guess. Yeah. And CNN, world, US politics, business, health, more. This is a good option of more, than I can see what's below. But yeah, this is understandable, right? This is there are not many problems in understanding. Okay, so what would you change on these websites to sum up everything? The access right would be better if it was implemented. The CNN option, for example, for BBC, right? That would be easier, and the search engine, right? These filters would be better if there are some advanced filters. Okay. Yeah, that were our questions. Okay, so to sum up BBC, other examples of the IA systems I wanted to present. A proper amount of links in horizontal menu, that was okay. Dynamic menu is an advantage. It means that it's moving when I touch it. I didn't have a time to show, but okay. How to watch, listen live, these are very good labels to get to the information. It helps us. Two less graphical labels are in the case of BBC in general. This is what I noticed. And most watched, this is really an advantage because it's a user in mind, right? Who saw some files the most, right? Then a user, when sees it, then can go there and try the same. And these are both advantageable for the website and for the user. Yeah, perfect social navigation. And CNN, extensive sitemap in chronological order with a search engine, that was also good. And proper, I couldn't show this, but I don't have time. A proper amount of links in horizontal menu was also an advantage. Yeah, and filters in CNN. Okay, social media, very, very quickly. The information architecture on social media is the same for everyone, but however, some difference between some profiles are noticeable. For example, on Instagram, some users may have additional buttons like view shop, emails, etc. Or when user create a page on Facebook, he should choose a type of page, and the IA is specific for those separated pages. It must not be confused with user interface personalization, because we don't have the chance to change colors or change the layout of social media, but we can change some pages that just look different because they are designed in such a way. And just quick look at how BBC and CNN looks in social media. This is on Facebook, and the cover photo is very well shown. CNN looks a little bit different, right? So BBC and CNN, when we compare, we have a little bit different layout, but this depends on the other page, right? The other kind of page that that someone who set up these accounts just chose on the level of creating these pages. Yeah, so this is how it looks on Facebook of BBC and CNN. There are also differences because of these settings, as I told, and yeah, on both devices. Instagram, there are not really very difficult differences to see. Just a description was given here and some highlights BBC doesn't have, and CNN has, right? So and these are really less differences. LinkedIn is the same in general. There are no differences. Twitter is also the same. YouTube, of course, there are some other pictures and the content is different, but as I told, we don't analyze content but the layout. And conclusions. Yeah, the BBC, the BBC has a very small sitemap, and CNN has an extensive chronological map and an additional search engine. BBC desktop version has too many links in horizontal menu. BBC and CNN has no tag clouds or other auxiliary navigation mechanism. Both the BBC and CNN websites are protected by a certificate, so data will not leak, as I told you, HTTPS. BBC has no filters in the main search engine, right? CNN has, however, filtering and sorting options. BBC has two less graphic icons on the homepage, but both websites have social navigation of user footprints, so most watched, labels, and etc. Research is still being done, including IA and the UX correlation, and the websites are still changing, right? But for now, even if the BBC has succumbed to media convergence first, and is considered to be a pioneer in technology, their website is not clearly better than the CNN one. Okay, that's it. Thank you for your patience and for your time. Thank you so much. Yeah. Okay, sure. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you so much.
Paulina, is there anyone who would like to raise a hand and ask a question? Because I have a lot of questions, at least one. So thank you very much for the presentation. The first question, probably, which one to choose? Yeah, the balance between the text and the visual material. Could you say a couple of words about the trends in contemporary, let's say, internet architecture, design? What do you think? Do we put a stress on a visual material like pictures, photos, and so on, or are we drawing back towards the text?
Yeah. It turns out that a person consumes 90% visual information by brain, and the text is less noticeable by the brain. So it's very important to have more visual information on websites, because text can be tiring for the user, right? So when we show information by graphics, by pictures with short headlines, this is very worthful for user, and the user will understand more from such messages. Yeah, this research shows. Yeah, So visual information is more valuable than the text one. But of course, when we go to news, for example, and we see the well-written news, then it's very okay. But I mean what we can see on website, right? When we go to a website and we see more graphic information, then we can click on this information because we are, this is curious for us, right? We want to get more. So then the text is okay when we already go to a news. But on the first site, when we go to a website and we see too much text, then it can be too tiring. So yeah, research shows that visual information is better in this case.
Is it also your prediction for the future? If I may ask you for the prediction, I don't know. We are not allowed as a Catholics to predict for future, but still. Is it also a prediction that we are going to stick to the visual materials, graphics, pictures?
I think so, because on the websites that are modern, that are designed with user in mind, has more visual information. So it goes this way. I think there is not too less, but less information that on the websites that are not designed with user in mind. Right? This is a nice observation. So I think we go in this way. Yeah, visual.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Who is the next one? Any question or comments? Guys, something to say?
Okay.
What is your opinion when you have searched our webpage of Univerzity?
Very good.
Really?
really, yes. The information architecture is very readable. I think when I went there, even if I don't speak Czech language and I didn't tap the English version, I understood, right? I understood the layout. I saw the logo, saw the name. Okay, we saw the menu. The menu is very clearly designed. That was really very simple, and the graphical. This information in visual form was also presented with pictures, right? So that was not a trouble to understand what happens on the page, and this is the clue of information architecture, I guess. So yeah.
Thank you. I will deliver this message to our headquarters. So yeah, they will be very
thank
happy.
You.
We still have a couple of minutes. Someone would like to ask a question? You are looking forward for your first cup of coffee, I guess. It's still early morning. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so much once again, and for voting as well. Thank you.
The next lecture starts at 9:50, so we have a couple of minutes. We can take a break. svoji třetí kávu. Good morning. I hope that all of you are refreshed. And now we are looking forward for another refreshing presentation. Another speaker is Radoslav Damian Sajnakunovsky. It's your name. And he's an associate professor at Kazimierz Wielki University in Bydgoszcz. And he's an expert in media studies and political and global communication. And the topic of his lecture is media ethics, politics and religion in modern Poland. So I think it's an up-to-date issue. So welcome once again, and the floor is yours.
Hello, everybody. First of all, thank you very much for your invitation. I'm very glad to be here at this very old and very good university at this beautiful city of Olomouci. It's really beautiful. It's not courtoisie, it's really beautiful city. So the subject of my presentation is media ethics, politics and religion in modern Poland. I hope this subject is or suits with the subjects very important for your faculty, because I know that media ethics, politics, religion is important for you, I think. And I am Radoslav Sajnakunovsky, Associate Professor at Kazimierz Wielki University, member of the Committee of Media Communication Science and Polish Academy of Sciences also. Look at this first slide. Religion and Polish history. I will speak firstly a little bit about Polish history, because it's a little bit related with Czech history. This man here as the first ruler of Poland, Mieszko I, from the Piast dynasty. He was the founder and the first ruler of the Polish state, Duchy of Poland. And his wife, this woman here, is a woman from Bohemia. So I know that here is Moravia, not Bohemia, but Bohemia and Moravia is a Czech Republic today. And she is Dąbrówka. And in 966, it was the baptism of Poland. So then Poland became important nation. Important because then to be important nation means be Christian nation. And so the Piast dynasty is a continuation of this mix of a Polish man and Bohemian women, a genetic mix of Poland and Czechs and Bohemians. This is the emblem of Piast dynasty and emblem of the Przemyslid dynasty, because Dąbrówka was from the Przemyslid dynasty, who you know very good. Of course, these emblems are contemporary emblems. Next, kings of Poland. Well, the first king of Poland was Bolesław the Brave. It was the first king of Poland who invaded Moravia. I'm very sorry for that. But Moravia now is in the Czech Republic. He was the son of Mieszko I and Dąbrówka. The next kings are kings from the Piast dynasty, and the last king of this slide is Václav. Václav the Third, which died in 1306 in Olomouci. And he was king of Poland from the Przemyslid dynasty. As you can see, the first years of the Polish state was connected with the today Czech Republic, with Bohemia and Moravia. You can ask what portrait are next Polish kings. This portrait were painted by this man, the last man on this slide, Jan Matejko. Jan Matejko was born in Poland, in Krakow. He spent his life in Krakow, but his father was from Bohemia. The most famous Polish painter of history was from Bohemia. Next connection of Poland with Bohemia and Czech Republic. And he painted all the rulers of Poland. It is one of the most important Polish painters in the history. This is Ladislaus the Elbow High, the king from a region where I was born. He was a good king, and his son is Casimir the Great, one of the best kings in the history of Poland, who founded the city of Bydgoszcz, where I was born. And the name of our university is of his name. And the next king of Poland was Ludwik Węgierski, Louis I of Hungary, Nec Lajos in Hungarian, grandson of Ladislaus the Elbow High. Every of this king was Catholic, was Christian, of course. And as you know in the history, who is ruler? His religion is a religion of his state. And therefore, the religion in Poland depended on who ruled the country. And therefore, from the baptism of Poland, our country became Christian nation. And until today, it's a Christian nation, but today we have a secular state like the Czech Republic, and like every country in Europe, besides Vatican, because Vatican is a specific country, the capital of Catholic world. This is one of the most famous marriages in the Polish history. This woman is Jadwiga. Jadwiga was daughter of Louis I of Hungary and Elżbieta from Bosnia. And this man was Ladislau Jagiełło. He was a pagan person from Lithuania. But when they married, he became Christian too. And Poland and Lithuania became two cooperating nations because of this marriage. So the effect of this marriage was Christianization of Lithuania. Before, Lithuania was a pagan state, like Poland, before 966. This is an emblem of the Jagiellonian dynasty, who will rule a great part of Europe. And Jagiełło was famous also because of a battle, great battle of Grunwald in 1410. This battle became very important for the Polish culture. The first picture as a famous book of the Polish Nobel Prize winner, Henryk Sienkiewicz. He was writer of 19th century and first decades of the 20th century. And his book was also transformed into film. This is a fragment of the film, very important film from the period of communist Poland, then was produced, but is also important for the people now. This is King Jagiełło, and this is one of the biggest paintings in the history of the Polish state, by Jan Matejko, of course. There's a Battle of Grunwald that you can find in Warsaw, in the National Museum in Warsaw. This painting is like bigger than this wall, presenting the Battle of Grunwald. Battle of Grunwald was a great victory of the Polish and Lithuanian knights and against the Teutonic Order. Teutonic Order was a German order of knights of Northern Europe. And the last picture, this lower row, is a monument in the small city of Grunwald in today's Poland. And here you have another books about Grunwald, historic books about this battle, famous battle of the 15th century. It was one of the greatest battle in the history of Europe. Great victory of Poland. During the World War II, the Nazi Germans wanted to destroy this painting of Jan Matejko. But it was impossible because the Poles prohibited it because of secret actions. There are also games, films, books about it. In the Polish history, in the Polish culture, this battle is very important thing, very important moment in the history of Poland. And in the culture, there is every year there's something new about it. New information, new games, new films, new books, and so on. The next kings of the Jagiellonian dynasty were not so famous like Jagiełło, but the first one is Władysław Warneńczyk, who was the king only during a small period. But the next one was Kazimierz Jagiellończyk. And his son, this one, was ruler of Bohemia. He was Władysław II, king of Bohemia, Hungary and Croatia. Maybe you know this king from the lessons of history in your primary or secondary schools. He was from the same Jagiellonian dynasty. Next kings were another Jan Olbracht, Aleksander Jagiellończyk, and so on. During the rules of the last one, Zygmunt August, Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth was born. And look at this map. The Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, so the United Kingdom of Poland and the Grand Duchy of Lithuania, was one of the biggest, greatest states in this period in Europe. Look at this map. This two yellow colors united. It was a very, very big state and very important in Europe. This is the emblem of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth and the map of religions in Poland of the 16th century. And the emblem are mixed. Polish emblem, this white eagle, and the emblem of Lithuania, with the Jagiellonian emblem on the coat of arms. And this is the map of the religion. This white color is a domination of Catholicism. Green color is a domination of Orthodox religion. This violet color is a domination of Protestantism. Above all, Calvinism. So the Protestantism religion from Switzerland, from Calvin, Jan Calvin. So this country, this Commonwealth of Poland and Lithuania, was a country of mixing religions. But at the same time, it was the most tolerant country, tolerant state in Europe then. Today, the people speak about tolerance, and tolerance as an element of many constitutions in the contemporary world. But in this state of Poland and Lithuania united, the religious tolerance was something obvious, something very important, and every king should be very tolerant, because without this obligation of tolerance, he couldn't be king, because the nobility of Poland elected kings from in this period between 1573 and 1795. In Poland, the monarchs were elected. There were not rulers, not monarchs, because they were sons of another monarch, but they were elected. The people, the nobility of Poland, elected monarchs. And this is paintings of portraits of another kings by Jan Matejko. Of course, Jan Matejko didn't survive all the history of Poland, and many of the kings were painted by his imagination. But the last ones were more based on other portraits. But the Piast dynasty or Jagiellonian dynasty, then it was difficult to the rulers of that period were not painted. Therefore, Jan Matejko painted them by his imagination. Henri de Valois, the first elected monarch, was from France. But this is the emblem of Valois, the dynasty of Valois. Before he became the king of Poland, there was a massacre of Protestant minority in France, and Protestant Poles were against him. He was very Catholic. As you know, there was religion wars in Europe. The people battled for religion. Today we live in a Pacific world, Pacific Europe at least. I don't mean the war on the east side of Europe today, but there are no religion wars. This is better. No? There are no religion wars. But before, as you know exactly the Jan Hus, Martin Luther, John Calvin, who began the Protestantism, the Reformation, and therefore Europe entered into religion wars in some period. And Henri de Valois was Catholic, and Anna Jagiellonka, the next king of Poland, was Catholic too. Stefan Batory, from the Batory dynasty from Hungary, from Transylvania, who was a part of, that was a part of Hungary, of the Kingdom of Hungary then, was also Catholic, but was he was obliged to be tolerant against Protestant minority in Poland and Orthodox minority. Next one was the next three kings were from the Vasa dynasty. Vasa dynasty was from Sweden. It was Kingdom of Sweden where the Vasa dynasty ruled. And paradoxically, Vasa dynasty was Lutheran. They supported Protestantism. But Sigismund the third of Vasa, when became the king of Poland, he was the king who made Poland very Catholic country. And therefore, as a consequence, there is a great war against Kingdom of Sweden and Kingdom of Poland. The Swedes invaded Poland. This is named in Poland as a deluge of Swedes. The next kings of Poland from the Vasa dynasty were rather tolerant, but also supported above all Catholicism in Poland. Poland became more and more Catholic country. Also, there were a Protestant minority in Poland, but it was only minority. Orthodox minority on the east part of Poland also was a minority. The kings of Poland were above all Catholics. Michał Korybut Wiśniowiecki, next king of Poland from the Wiśniowiecki family, was from the eastern part of Poland, more Orthodox part of Poland, but he was Catholic too. Jan III Sobieski, Jan III Sobieski, from the Sobieski noble family from Poland. He was a very important king for Europe, because maybe you know the Battle of Vienna. The Ottomans wanted to invade Vienna in 1693. Without help of Jan III Sobieski, Vienna would be invaded and destroyed and occupied by Ottomans. Today, Austria would be Muslim country, undoubtedly. But Sobieski, with his hussars, the best army of them in Europe, in that period it was best army in Europe, helped Austrian Habsburgs to defend Vienna. It was very important battle also in the history of Poland, because it was a war of Catholics against Muslims. The next king was from the Saxon dynasty of Wetins, August II the Strong, but he was also Catholic in Poland. The next one was Stanisław Leszczyński from the Wieniawa coat of arms, from the Polish nobility, very connected with French nobility, but was also rather Catholic but a tolerant king. The next one was another king from Saxon dynasty, and the last one, Stanisław August Poniatowski from the Czołek coat of arms, was the last king. He was a lover of the Catherine II the Great. But then Russians invaded Poland, Austrians invaded Poland, Prussians invaded Poland, and then this is the map of Poland from the of the period of partition of Poland. Practically Poland disappeared from the map of Europe. Three emperors divided Poland into three parts. Prussia, Kingdom of Prussia, the Germans invaded northern and western part of Poland and occupied it. the Russians occupied the eastern part of Poland and Lithuania, and the Austrians, Habsburgs, occupied the southern part of Poland. Today, Krakow, for example, Lviv, which is now in Ukraine. A lot of today's Ukraine, today Belarus, today Lithuania was a part of Polish and Lithuanian Commonwealth. The three colors are three parts of divided and occupied Poland. During 123 years, Poland didn't exist. And the censorship in this parts of Poland was so strict that even from the books of religion books, they destroyed, for example, some phrases like Mother of God, Queen of Poland. It was impossible, prohibited to use this form in books, for example. And Prussia was Lutheran. Kingdom of Prussia was Lutheran. Russia was Orthodox. And Habsburgs were Catholics. So the three parts of occupied Poland were divided into religion lines. One part was Catholic, one part were Lutheran, Protestant, and one part Orthodox. This is the next map is a map of religions of Poland after gaining the independence. The independence of Poland, the Second Republic, and the interwar period was also a mix of religions. The violet color was a domination of Catholics, the yellow, Orthodox, and the green, Greco-Catholics, and the blue were the most important parts of Protestantism. So 4 religions in a country. World War II, you know exactly what was World War II, and the religion of, and during the World War II was the only quasi-religion of Hitler, and therefore there's no importance to talk about it. It was a period of destroying any kind of true religion, only a quasi-religion, racist views dominated the world during 6 years. But after the World War II became in Poland, like in Czechoslovakia then, Hungary and other countries, the period of communism. You can see on this slide 4 persons who were the rulers of communism, and another 4 persons from the Catholic world. Because during communism, as you know, the communists didn't accept religion. For Marx, religion is something opium for masses. For communists, religion is something that should be destroyed. But Poland was very Catholic, and therefore during communism, the main opposition, political opposition, was the church, because there were no political opposition formally. Of course, many people acted as a underworld opposition, but the church was the strongest opposition to the communists. Here as Bolesław Bierut, Gomułka, Gerek, and General Jaruzelski, who was the last president of the communist Poland and did the state of war in 1981. And on the left side, or for your right side, you have then 4 important persons from the church. Cardinal Stanisław Wyszyński was the primate of millennium. He was called primate of millennium in Poland. He was the head of the church. Very important person. Who was the person that made that John Paul II, Karol Wojtyła, became the Pope, the first, not only Polish, but the first Slavic Pope, John Paul II. And in the middle of the, there is a young churchman, Jerzy Popiełuszko, who was murdered by the communists and then became icon of the opposition against communists. And this bishop, he was at the lower row. He was my grandma's brother, Bishop of Włocławek, Jan Zaremba, who was the bishop during the murdering of Jerzy Popiełuszko. Jerzy Popiełuszko was murdered in Włocławek. Of course, my uncle didn't conscious of this because the communists murdered him, murdered Popiełuszko, and my uncle was not the most important bishop of Poland, but one of many bishops that were also against communism. I found one of his sermons published in London, because in Poland it was impossible to publish it, in which he said about manipulation and the communist propaganda. Because as you know, the communist propaganda was very strong, was very anti-Catholic, and when John Paul II, when Karol Wojtyła became John Paul II, the leaders of the communist parties said something that I think is the same in Czech language that in Poland. They said, kurwa. This is what the first reaction of the communist regime when they heard about the election of John Paul II, of Karol Wojtyła as a pope. And the information program in TV, in the most important TV program, news program in the communist television, this information about the election of the Pope, Polish Pope, was only a small news, not as the first news, not the second, third, but maybe fifth, seventh, I don't remember. But it was only a small news, short, small news. A Paul became John Paul II. Next news. And because it was, this election of the Pope was also a politic action, according to many people close to the Vatican, because they knew that electing Polish Pope or another Slavic country Pope would be a great step to battle the communism. Oh, this is collapse of communism, technically. And after the collapse of the communism, that was the same period in Czech Republic, Poland, and other countries of the region, became the systemic transition to the Third Republic of Poland. This is the round table. As you know, maybe you know that in Poland the transition was not so bloody like for example in Romania, where Nicolae Ceausescu was killed. In Poland, the transformation was something more lighter, because communists and the opposition talked about the transition on the round table. This is the famous round table. It was the start of the transition. But it is also something that is important for the Polish political life today. Because one part of the political scene say this was a combination of interest of ex-communists and opposition to rule over the country, and another say it was reasonable because without bloody revolution we became a new liberal country, democratic country. This is the building of the Polish Sejm, same as the lower chamber of the parliament, Polish parliament. And the last one was Lech Walesa, Nobel Prize winner, and another person who is important in the political life today. Also, now he is no president, no prime minister, no minister, no important person formally. But the opinions about Walesa was an important thing, is an important thing in the political debate of today. One part of the political scene say he was the hero, and without him, no transition. Another part of the political scene say he was an agent of the communists' interest, of the communists simply. But he always have a Mother of God here, there too. The presidential and free parliamentary elections took place in 1990, 1991, and new democratic constitution in Poland took place, or was firmed, accepted in 1997. New constitution, in the new constitution you can find Article 14, that the Republic of Poland guarantees the freedom of the press and other media. Article 53, freedom of conscience and religion. Article 54, freedom of expression, information, and the censorship is prohibited. This is normal in any liberal democratic constitution. Here in the Czech Republic is the same. Maybe not the same articles in the constitution, but the same rules in your constitution, like an American constitution, German, and others. Maybe the words are not identical, but the rules of the constitution is the same. In 1995 was important document regarding media ethics in Poland. Karta Etyczna Mediów, this is Media Ethics Charter, was prepared by the Association of Polish Journalists and signed by main Polish journalist associations and media. And this is the main document of media ethics in Poland. There are 7 principles in this Media Ethics Charter. Principle of truth, principle of neutrality, objectivity, principle of separating information from comment, principle of fairness, principle of respect and tolerance, principle of priority of the good of the recipient, principle of freedom and responsibility. This is not specific national Polish rules, because media ethics in general is universal. Journalistic ethics are understandable around the world and the entire democratic world. So in the Czech Republic and other democratic countries, there are the same rules, because somebody could be good journalist or not. Good journalist is a journalist who respect this principle. The documents could be different in the and the usage of concrete words, but the principles are similar everywhere. Where's democracy and freedom of the media? Only free media can be ethical, because if the media depends on the power, on the government, there is no space for media ethics, because they depend on the power. This is the principle of the Polish media regarding the ethics, but the practice of the media ethics, it's not so beautiful, regrettably. What is the principle of truth? Journalists, publishers, producers, and broadcasters make every effort to ensure that the information provided is truthful, report the facts in their proper context conscientiously and without distortions, and in the event of dissemination of erroneous information, they immediately correct. Principle of neutrality, objectivity. The author presents the reality regardless of his views. He reliably reports on various points of view. Principle of separating information from comment. The statement is to enable the recipient to distinguish facts from opinions and views. This is very important, and the Polish television is not existent. Lastly, at least in the main television stations in Poland. Principle of fairness. Acting in harmony. It means acting in harmony with one's conscience and the good of the recipient. Not yielding to influences, incorruptibility, refusal to act contrary to one's beliefs. Principle of respect and tolerance. It means respect for human dignity, the rights of personal rights, especially privacy and reputation. Principle of priority of the good of the recipient. The fundamental rights of readers, viewers, and listeners override the interests of editorial staff, journalists, publishers, producers, and broadcasters. Principle of freedom and responsibility. It means freedom of the media makes journalists, publishers, producers, and broadcasters responsible for the content and form of communication and the resulting consequences. This is very important moments in the recent history of Poland that became very important also for the Polish political debate and for the media and regarding media ethics. As you know, in 1999, Poland, Czech Republic, and Hungary entered into NATO, the biggest defense system in the history of the world. In 2004, Poland, Czech Republic, and other countries of the Eastern Europe, above all, entered into the European Union, the biggest economic and political organization in the history of Europe. In 2005, on April 2, death of the John Paul II. Before the death of John Paul II, religion was not important issue in the political debate, because John Paul II was so important person generally for Poland that the people that were Catholics or atheists or others didn't debate importantly, aggressively about religion. Today, after the death of the John Paul II, this Catholic authority is not a person who defended Poland before this aggressive debate about religion. Now the religion and the question of the role of the church in the life of Poles became more and more, or is becoming more and more important issue of the political debate. I mean, for example, the issues of right to abortion. Poland has one of the strict rights against abortion. And during the life of the John Paul II, abortion was not subject of the political issue. Now, as the important question. Other question is the LGBT question of homosexuals and others that became a question of political debate during the life of John Paul II was not important issue. So the death of the John Paul II introduced Poland into the political debate about questions regarding religion, regarding church, also the role of the church in the politics. Next moment in the history of Poland, 2010, April 10, Smolensk tragedy, death of President Lech Kaczynski, his wife, other Polish politicians and other persons. It was a very important thing, I think, that in Czech Republic also the media presented it because it was a catastrophe in Smolensk. And this became another important issue in the politics and also in the media. One part of the political scene say that it was only catastrophe, the error of the man. And another part of the scene said it was Putin's action. Who's the right? I don't know, because the Russians investigate it. They don't leave the Poles to investigate the issue. And therefore, the Polish government has no documents important to investigate it. But this is the issue of very important because during this tragedy, the Prime Minister of Poland was Donald Tusk, leader of the opposition. And for him, the better option is to say it was an error of man. But for the leader of the governing party, ruling party, as the brother of the President Lech Kaczynski, and for him, the better option is to say that was Russian actions and that Putin was very good colleague of Donald Tusk. And therefore, he was a joint action of Donald Tusk, leader of the Polish opposition, and the bloody Putin. And now, during the war of the Ukraine, the bloodiness of Putin as documented. And therefore, this argument that it was possible that Putin and Tusk together invented this catastrophe seems to more possible. Main political parties of today, from right side to the left. For you, the left is there. The right is there, but this is more rightist parties and then more leftist parties. This is the ruling party of today. Prawo i Sprawiedliwość means law and justice. This is the party of Kaczynski's brothers, the most conservative party, more Catholic party. They are against of the free right to abortion, for example. They're against to enlarge the rights of LGBT and so on. They're more conservative, more also patriotic or nationalistic. They support Polish economic interests in this globalizing world. The main opposition party is Platforma Obywatelska, Civic Platform, as a more liberal party. supporting more this question of religion, of liberalizing the country, more secular state, and they support more cooperation with Germany and the European Union. Law and Justice Party are not against European Union, but they prefer European Union as a confederation of countries and not a great superpower. Civic platform support more civic power. Law and Justice Party is cooperating with the ruling party in the Czech Republic now, of Prime Minister, wait, I don't remember. Prime Minister of Czech Republic now is Fila. Fila and our Prime Minister Morawiecki are in good relations. During the Babiš government, it was rather with civic platform good relations. This Konfederacja Wolność i Niepodległość is a confederation of rightist parties. PSL is a agrarian party cooperating with civic platform. And 2050, I don't know, it's visible. It's a new party of liberal views. And the Sojusz Lewicy Demokratycznej, the Union of the Democratic Left, is a party of ex-communists. Not everybody in this party is ex-communist, but the leaders are many elder person from this party are ex-communists, but the younger generation of politicians, of course, not, and they support leftist views of the country, and therefore this is Polish political scene in shortly speaking. The leaders of the political parties. This is Andrzej Duda, President of Poland, Mateusz Morawiecki, Prime Minister of Poland. But the leaders of the political parties, the main important parties, politicians in Poland are Jarosław Kaczyński, who is leader of the ruling party, so he is not Prime Minister or President, and Donald Tusk. I suppose you remember that Donald Tusk was President of the European not European Commission, but European Union. And he is supporting close relations with inside the European Union. But Jarosław Kaczyński is more interesting in supporting Polish economy, Polish interests inside the European Union, but not so close. And the smaller pictures are leaders of oppositional parties, but not so important like Donald Tusk. The elections, Poland parliamentary elections to Sejm, so the lower chamber of parliament, from 1991 to 2019. Look that these main political parties, Law and Justice and Civic Platform, were born on 2001, and therefore, and then they dominated the political scene. Law and Justice Party is governing party now, and PO-KO, because KO is from coalition, civic coalition. This is a changing elections, results of elections from the first three elections to 2019, the last elections. Oj, coś tu się zepsuło. Oh, it's okay. Look at this maps. These maps show correlation between politics, elections, and religions. and regions. Regions, sorry, not religions, but regions. But if we deepen also religions, more conservative parties are elected above all on the eastern and southern part of Poland, and the liberal, this is the same, and the second one is the Senate, it's 2 chambers of parliament, and the more liberal on the northern and western part. So the blue is the Law and Justice Party, and the yellow is more civic platform. So there are regional differences in Poland, and this suits with religion in Poland, because the southern and the eastern part is more religious in Poland than the northern and western. Therefore, this is also the regional differences, regional divisions in Poland. And this is main Polish media logos of main Polish media. Also, from the right to the left, TVP, Polish television, and TVP Info, the news channel of the Polish television. This is public Polish broadcaster, TV broadcaster, and Polskie Radio is a published broadcaster from Poland. Orlen, Polska Press Grupa, and television, religious television, Trwam and Radio Maria. In the middle, there is more neutral media, Polsat, television Polsat, and RMF-FM. And Poland, and the more left is TVN 24, main oppositional television. Gazeta Wyborcza, main oppositional newspaper, and Onet.pl, most oppositional website in Poland, very popular. The problem is that these media are more and more not ethical. And the Polish public broadcaster, dominated by the ruling party, there is a strong pro-governmental propaganda. Very strong, without neutrality, without objectivity. Only pro-governmental propaganda. On the TVN, main oppositional media, there is a strong manipulation against ruling party and supporting opposition. Only this media in the middle, Polsat, RMF. RMF is the most important radio station in Poland, are more neutral. The media ethics in Polish media, unfortunately, is becoming less important than political goals. I have 1 minute, so final remarks. Polish political scene is very divided among conservatives and liberal leftists, and the politics is becoming more and more aggressive. Polish media are divided along political divisions. Regrettably, the media ethics now are less important than political goals. And religion and the role of the church in the state became important issues that divide people, politicians, and media in modern Poland. I can present some examples because I have no time, but believe me, that is true. Thank you very much. Yeah. Oh.
Hello. Thank you so much for your presentation. During your presentation, I saw and I hear the word objectivity a few times. So my question is, do you, for real, personally believe in objectivity and objective media at all, not only in Poland, but at all?
Yes, objectivity is very, very difficult for any media. But the main question is the intention of journalists and media. If journalists want to be objective and try to be objective or not. Because if the media depend on, for example, political party, he is not able to be objective because he has the political parties say, you should support this man or this party, and there is no space to objectivity. But of course, if somebody wants to be objective, of course, there is other factors that make it difficult, because everybody has his own views, own opinions, and therefore, for everybody, for every journalist, for every media, it's difficult to be objective. But in my opinion, the most important thing is intention. I want to be objective, and the scientific research is the same. If the scientists want to be objective, and should be, must be objective, the research is objective. But if somebody don't want it, it's impossible. So the intention is the main factor.
Yeah, I agree that intention is important, but don't you think that everything is influenced by everything? Like Poland is influenced by church, by European Union, like I don't know, Belarus is influenced by Russia. So there are so many factors that I guess this can't be objectivity at all, because everything is influenced by everything. Yes. So I don't know how is possible to be objective in these times.
Yes, the influences are important everywhere, but in Belarus there is no space to freedom of press. Therefore, in Poland there space. Therefore, in Poland, for example, you can create, like in the Czech Republic and other democratic countries, you can create on, for example, news website, and you can try to be objective without influences. You can say, the influences of the European Union, of the Church, are for me not important. I will write truth. And so if you have such intention, maybe you will not earn money. I don't know, but your intention is most important. But you're right that influences are everywhere, and it's very, very difficult to be objective. But we can say that different media are more or less objective. In Poland, we can see it also, that in 3 main television stations, one Polish television public is very propaganda medium. TVN is very pro-oppositional, but Polsat TV is more objective. Not in every news, not in every aspect not in every comment, but it's more objective. So we can classify media according to objectivity, but of course you're right that completely objectivity is complete or entire. I don't know. No, objectivity complete is impossible.
Yes, is objectivity conservative or liberal?
Oh, objectivity is among them.
Aha, like
between,
central.
Something between.
Thank you.
or something outside of it, outside the division.
Thank you. It was very interesting. When you were talking about the situation after World War II, when the church acted as a main opposition to communism, I wanted to ask not necessarily about this situation, but do you think that church should somehow be engaged in political matters, or in these situations, or form an opposition of some sort, or do you think it should remain neutral?
Yes, it is an important question, and it is a question changing in time, because during the interwar period, for example, in the Polish parliament, there were churchmen. It was possible by the law that churchmen would be members of parliament. Today in Poland, it's impossible. They can't be members of the parliament. But some Catholic media, for example, in Poland, engage in the politics. As you know, maybe you know that Freemasonry is battling, is supporting the division between church and politics. Personally, I think that better for the church is to be separated from the country, from the state, because if the correlation is too strong, the people understand power with the church, power of the state with the power of the church, and therefore, as you know, the people in general are against the power of the state. So look at this situation in the Francoist Spain, where the church was very strongly connected with the state. It was good for the church in Spain? Not, because now in Spain the percent of the Catholics is becoming lower and lower, and in the history memory of in Spain, Catholicism is connected with the bloody Francoist regime, and therefore I think that Jesus Christ said that this is for Caesar, for God, no? And therefore I think that in the Bible itself there is a separation of the state from the church. Of course, many phrases in the Bible are metaphoric, and I'm not specialist in this issue, but I think that separation is good for the state and for the church itself.
Thank you, I think so too.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
good nearly afternoon, no, it's still late morning, so good late morning, everyone. We are approaching the last part of our today's presentation or morning program. Just after the lunch, we have a panel discussions, so you are also, all of you, welcome to attend those panel discussions. But this obligatory part, the morning part, is going to be concluded by our special guest from Iran, Rasul Akbari. He's, if I may say, also a friend of mine, so welcome here in Olomouci. He's from Ferdowsi University of Mashhad, which is a wonderful place in Iran, eastern part of Iran. And just now he's in Berlin, staying in Berlin, in Humboldt University in Berlin, in Institute for Islamic Theology, if I understood it well. But in Mashhad, he's in Department of Religion and Comparative Mysticism. So he's an expert on religion and communication, and it's my pleasure to pass over to you, and I'm looking forward for your presentation.
Thank you, Professor Dr. Franz, for this introduction. Although I don't consider myself as an expert in religion and communication. Yeah, I'm a humble researcher. Thank you so much. Thank you for the invitation, Professor Franz and the team. It's a pleasure for me to be back in Olomouci for the 4th time, I suppose. And I'm not yet really tired, but not only that I'm not tired of the city and its grandeur and architectural and historical beauty, but also it's a huge pleasure for me. I had 2 hours of walk throughout the city and the streets last night again, and 2 days ago, together with my family, who had to leave actually, unfortunately, to go to school in Berlin. So, usually Muslims start their lectures by saying, "In the name of God, the compassionate, the merciful," or maybe you have heard this called Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So because I'm also considered as someone working in Islamic theology, I think I should do a little bit to highlight the theological aspects of work. Yeah, religion is basically about communication and ethics. So when you deal with, that's my understanding actually, it's about mediation of relationship between, at a vertical level, between the divinity and the humanity. And of course, religion is also about human beings. So the ethics of the do's and don'ts of the morality of also a cross-sectional horizontal relationship between human beings. This is very much true also in the case of, am I loud enough? Also in the case of Islam. I'm sorry, this is an obligatory session, you said, but I hope you will somehow at least enjoy the pictures I share with you. So religion is about communication and ethics, I suppose, very much deeply, because in the content structure or in the form or shape structure, it has to deal with relationship with the divinity and with the humanity, but also with quality, like what is the quality of this relationship, the ethical, moral dimension. We had a short chat with Professor Franz before the session started, and he gave me the hint that in a way I'm allowed also to change or to divert a little bit. Here diversion is no problem. Usually theologically there is a problem with diversion, but I can divert a little bit, step out of the topics. We discussed these topics like 2 or 3, 4 months ago, but so many things have happened. Perhaps you have already heard about Iran. We are on the headlines. There is no, I think, avoid from it. So what I'm doing today and tomorrow, I hope you will not be too much bored or disappointed to join tomorrow. I will do a presentation into the basics of Islam, Muslim life, and Shi'i Muslim life, because I'm presenting now 2. I was supposed to present 1 case study. Now I'm going to present to you 2 case studies about Iran. So most of the Iranians, majority, like 70%, are Shi'i Muslims. So who are the Shi'i Muslims? Let's see who we are talking about. And then I will try to focus on the first case study, the COVID-19 period and the challenges it raised for the society, for the religious community, and for the non-religious community, for politics and culture, for the individual and for the public. And also the second case study, that of the hijab or the head covering issue and the position of women in today's Iran and what's happening in Iran basically. And I will be open to respond to your non-dangerous questions because I would love to get the chance to go back to my country. So this session, please consider this the basics. Generally speaking, I do Religionswissenschaft, like religious studies, but I'm also interested, like perhaps you know Peter Berger, the sociologist. He speaks of double citizenships, where an academic scholar can make back and forth journeys between his academic mission and responsibilities and tasks to follow the most objectively possible studies of the themes and the contents of their studies, but at the same time, for Peter Berger, we as academic people also do have personal life and personal concerns. So for him, there is no problem if we also follow in the most academically ordained and methodological ways our personal and human concerns. So for him, there is no problem if you somehow tend subjective. So subjectively, I'm interested in Muslims rather than Islam, because where is Islam? It's a given conception, historical conception, or is it a lived reality of the people? I am interested in the study of religion and also in the study of theology and interrelation between them and how they can impact each other. Actually, for religious studies, theology is one other approach in the study of religion, together with sociology of religion, anthropology of religion, cultural studies, and religion media studies, and religion and theology also has to do academically with religion. So theologically and also from a religious perspective, religious studies perspective, I'm interested in the study of Muslims. So I prefer to talk about Muslims rather than Islam as a top-bottom structure. But I'm interested in the bottom-top structure. How do Muslims shape our understanding of what is historically understood as Islam? Perhaps you can extend it to other religions and cultures, like study Christian life rather than Christianity as a historical given. So Islam at a literary or language, morphologic perspective or focus comes from the Arabic Semitic root salama, which means to be in peace or to be in or as an integral whole. So when you say salam to someone, which means like shalom, of course, in the Hebrew root, it means peace unto you, hello to you, ahoy. So it is from this root, historically and linguistically, that Islam has been derived. And theologically, for Muslims, it also means to be taslim, to be in total surrender to God or divine orders or God's law from more legal perspective. Of course, it depends how you look at your relationship with God from a theological perspective, moral, ethical perspective, from more legal perspective. So a Muslim is a person who surrenders to God, to the one God. We are a monotheistic. We believe in a monotheistic God. And to feel at peace with yourself and with the universe, and to follow peace. Of course, there are two other important keywords when it comes to theological understanding of what belief is for Muslims in the holy book of Muslims, the Quran. There is the word faith or iman, which comes from amn, like amnesty, immunity, the same roots, because Persian, and for us in Iran also, a lot of these roots are the same. We have borrowed them from Arabic, or they have been imposed on us from Arabic because of historical invasion. So there are Indo-European languages, and there are very much similarities. So iman or amn also, to be safe or at safety or peace with oneself and with God. So if you have iman in God, it means you have faith in God. So in this effect, you surrender to God, you are taslim, and you have Islam. And also the word taqwa, waqaya, to protect or to save. So if you, in the Quran tells Muslims to have taqwa of Allah, which means to fear God, and at the same time to be saved. So this oceanic feeling of awe, perhaps you know about Friedrich Schleiermacher, and how you stand at the ocean and you get this feeling of pleasure and peace, but at the same time fear, a mixture, an ambivalence of feelings. So as a Muslim, you both fear God, His grandeur, His superiority, His wrath, His power. At the same time, you feel so much close to Him. The relationship, communication is very much personal. But there's also an important legal aspect. So the Sharia law, this God does not leave you so that you would like to follow any kind of lifestyle that you would like to have. If you have belief in God, and if you surrender to Him, and if you submit to Him, if there is a submission, then you have to follow certain kinds of things. Then your lifestyle cannot be the same as a person who does not believe in God. So Sharia, or legal aspect, moral aspect, are also important for Muslims. So if you surrender in God from a personal, existential, philosophical, theological perspective, this should have some kind of reflection on your lifestyle. From a legal, moral perspective, you have to surrender to God's law also. So where did Islam come from? The socio-cultural background, historical background. Prophet Muhammad introduces himself in the Quran as a follower of Abraham. So he says, I have brought nothing new for you. I simply revive or restore the Abrahamic belief in the one God. Even from an ancestral perspective, he defines himself and the Arab faith in Allah, or the one God, as a continuity to the Semitic faith in the one God, the God of Abraham. Abraham who stood up against paganism and destroyed my screen. Just a second. Yeah. Patience. Thank you. So, for Muslims, according to the Quranic teachings, human beings have a primordial nature towards belief in God. So belief in God comes essentially as a result of human innate knowledge of God. The story of the before creation, God collected people in their ideal Platonic form, and he took testimony and witnessed, am I not your one God? And we in our spiritual forms all testified, yes, you are. And then life started, and historically, so we are born with this primordial, with this essential primary nature tendency towards belief in God. So Muhammad considers himself as a reviver and as a continuity to Judeo-Christian Semitic elements of faith. But of course there is a particular geographical historical thing also about Islam and Muslims. Why? Because Islam originated in Saudi Arabia. So it has been impacted hugely, particularly theologically, by Judeo-Christian Abrahamic tradition. Some scholars argue there is nothing like Abrahamic religions. In religious studies, they are more critical. Anyway, so there are these shared areas, like Muhammad says that I believe in all prophets before myself, and I simply continue them, and I'm the last one of them, the seal of prophecy. But at the same time, there are certain culture-based or context-based things, part of the Arab culture, for example, like the position, the attitude towards, for example, women's life and these things. Maybe they come from more Bedouin backgrounds. In the background, there was Bedouin Arab paganism with star worship. You see this in the Quran very much highlighted. There is a strong position against star worship because it already existed in the pre-Islamic Arabia. Or the idol worship, so the Kaaba or the cube, this house of God, which Abraham and Ishmael for Muslims, but I know the story is different. From biblical perspective, it was Isaac and Abraham. But anyway, from the Quranic perspective, it was Ishmael and Abraham who built the house and completed the house of worship. But it became a place of idol worship and paganism, so Muhammad came to clear away the idols or idol worship. Also, from a theological cultural perspective, the Arabs believed in blind faith, in the determination of your sustenance by your birth, race, and these non-moral or immoral aspects or codes of culture which brought a negative result or implication for the life of humans. It created injustice, although there were also some positive things in the Arab culture, like the code of honor, the hospitality towards neighbors, and stuff like that. But there were some also negative things like slaying in vengeance, an eye for eye, the tooth for tooth way of taking vengeance of someone who harms you, or infant girl killing. So these are all rejected by the Quran. These are a number of pictures of the idols, like this one was one of the most important stone idols of the Arab Bedouins, Uzza, lady, and an old picture of Mecca or the house of God, which already looks almost the same today, except for the Saudi mega places and mega structures which have been built. So for many Muslims, for many Muslim scholars, and for the Prophet himself, there was a sociological problem with Arab non-monotheistic lifestyle. Non-monotheism, or belief in many gods, idols, believing that your birth or your relationship to a certain kind of ethnicity or race or language or culture or even gender, like if you're born a man or a woman, masculinity, femininity, this can define your future and even your salvation, not only your human life future, but also afterlife future. This led to injustices and oppression. So this was the theological, sociological problem with paganism for Muhammad, and that is why he insisted on the one God, Allah, Elohim, the same actually, the same root, the same concept, this God that is not seen. He doesn't have a cult of worship necessarily. There is no stone that represents him except for the shrine, the Kaaba itself, which is the house of God, but again, it is not God himself, so he's not represented in stone. This disparity between rich and poor and disenfranchisement, these were the results of paganism or belief in many gods. So the response of Muhammad was monotheism. And already before Muhammad took these, I would say, yogic or meditational walks on the mountain, Mount Hira, to take away from society and do meditation in his early 20s, he was already Muhammad the trustworthy in the Arab community. They knew him as a man of good honor and prestige, as a truthful man. He was even a mediator when there was a fight between some people. He was not married yet. But in these last years, when he was married to the lady merchant who was 15 years older than himself, you know, this was very much common for the Arab men to have many wives, but Muhammad didn't have a wife. They say he had not touched a woman yet until he fell in love very clearly. Of course, Muslims would not like to tell a story like this, but they would say clearly they fell in love. And she was a rich merchant, and she liked Muhammad's truthfulness, and they were married, and near the age of 25, Muhammad got these revelations. God spoke to him, or Gabriel. So Muhammad the trustworthy became Muhammad the prophet. When he came down the cave and told the community, first his wife and a number of friends and relatives, and they believed in him, and they say that the lady Khadija, the wife of Muhammad, had a Christian relative who she called and said, look what has happened to Muhammad. And the Christian colleague relative talked to Muhammad, and he said, I think you have received mission, and this is very clear for us Christians. This is prophecy. What you're talking about is Gabriel talking to you. So anyway, the theoretical foundation. So what is the whole belief system? The main structure, the basics, belief in monotheism. So if you want to go to paradise as a Muslim, you have to believe in the one God. You have to believe that truthfully God has sent messengers. My name is Rasul, it means apostle. So he has sent apostles, messengers to you, to humanity, not only Muhammad, but 124,000 of them. Of course, clearly they are biblical prophets. My dad is calling me. Very clearly he has got a good VPN anti-filter because it's filtered already in my country. So monotheism, prophethood, and belief in resurrection and the afterlife, life after life. If you don't believe in any of these three basics, triangle of belief, you're doomed to hell. So you are a Muslim. Even though you are a Christian, you can be a Muslim, or vice versa, if you believe in these basics. And of course, these belief basics have a number of practical implications. It's not enough to believe in certain kinds of things. You need to do regular worship, prayer, fasting 5 times during the day. It takes like 2 or 3 minutes. Of course, it depends on how fast or slow you are, how long you would like to extend, but there is a certain amount of prayers during the day, so there is no Sunday prayer. There is a Friday prayer, which is not obligatory actually, so you don't have to go in congregation. There is charity, alms, and religious tax, so the kind of tax you would like to pay and the kind of tax you have to pay as a Muslim. There are certain differences. There is pilgrimage and many other rituals that you have to. Some of them you have to, some of them you don't have to. Some are obligatory, like this session for you, some are not, are simply recommended. From a legal perspective, there are 5 levels for human actions. They are either neutral, like drink some water, okay, I do. It's a neutral action. Mubah, like neutral. There is no negative, positive, recommended obligation thing about it. There are certain kinds of things that are obligatory. You have to do them, like your worships, your prayers. Being truthful, they are all legal and moral. There are certain restrictions, things that are forbidden, like drinking alcohol or alcoholic products, eating pork, things like that. And there are certain kinds of activities that are highly recommended and certain kinds of activities that are highly discouraged. Like they are not forbidden, but you're highly discouraged from doing them. And doing good and abstaining from bad or from evil, these are also important parts of our practical lifestyle. So after Muhammad got this mission or message from God, very clearly he could not keep it for himself. I have like 20 minutes, yes? Half an hour, thank you. I can prepare you for a good lunch, you know. So Muhammad couldn't keep it for himself as a prophet. He had to share the blessing, the word of God. Quran, or the voice for Muslims, for Muhammad, is Kalamullah, like the very voice of God. Okay, through Gabriel, there are lots of theological discussions. Is it in the mind of Muhammad? He's hearing himself. Yeah, these are theological processes, and many theologians also in Islam talk about these things, like what kind of way was God talking to Muhammad. But it is very clear and accepted for us that the text of the Quran is the word of God, and Muhammad had no impact in changing it or putting in his own words. But of course, it's a much difficult, controversial issue, of course. You can imagine how many different perspectives are. Like Muhammad was hearing something, that was the voice of God, but this is the word of Muhammad. There are discussions also in Islam, so there is no one understanding very clearly. There is no monolithic Islam or Muslimness or Islamic theology very clearly. On 2 extremes, like this is the word of Muhammad but the voice of God, or this is the voice of God and word of God. And on the medium or balanced ones, there are many who keep talking with each other and discussing these difficult theological questions. But that is top-bottom. From the bottom top, for Muslims, it's clear that the Quran is the word of God. Okay? And you have to live with it. And this is exactly what Muhammad tried to do. In Mecca, the city where he was born, by the way, this is a miniature of Angel Gabriel bringing the message of God over a period of 23 years. It didn't happen overnight. Although for some theologians, the whole word of God came one night, the ideal form of it, but then in a matter of 23 years, it became, in a process, it became more clear, more pixels were open, something like this. So there was a general idea of the Quran that even existed before the creation. So, you know, from theology. And historically, it became the Word of God. Muhammad tried to preach in Mecca, in his hometown. He was told first to start with his relatives and friends and close allies, from his uncles, who were all merchants, owners of this pilgrimage place. There was a huge business for them, and now Muhammad was asking them to destroy all the business and believe in the unseen God instead. So paganism is huge business, and Muhammad is destroying it. So after 3 years of difficult preach, when him and his small community of believers, mostly from slaves, the black slaves, the women, poor part of the society, the disenfranchised part of the society, they had to leave Mecca, and they were told to leave Mecca and go towards a more safer place, Medina, the city of Prophet, and another city where he was more accommodated by the people who were living there, and they knew Muhammad and they loved him, trusted him before Islam started. And this is the mark of the calendar for Muslims, this migration from Mecca to Medina. So if these are the basics of Islam generally. I'm going to stop here. Because this is a teaching context, I think I would like to recommend, not obligate, but recommend reading into Karen Armstrong, the very famous historian of religion. And these are some of her, you can find her also on YouTube. She has very interesting lectures about all religions, but also about Islam. I think her understanding and explanation of Islam is very much balanced one to the truth of reality of academic historical work, but also to the reality of faith and belief and history for Muslims. Who are the Shiites? So what happens after a prophet dies when this prophet is the last prophet? There is a huge political problem. There is no prophet after him, but who will succeed him? This is where the story of the big separation in the story of Islam starts between the Sunni and the Shi'is. Muhammad did not have a son, and they say even if he had had a son, it was not like this for the word of God, so somebody had to be chosen. But how? Like God chooses? He didn't, obviously. Although the Shi'is, like the background from which I come from, try to understand and interpret a number of lines in the Quran as, okay, God is telling us very clearly who he wants to be the next successor, not prophet, the successor or the leader of the community, but very clearly these are interpretations. There is no clear or exact word of God stating who is the next. Also, in the case of Muhammad himself, there is an event, the last pilgrimage that Prophet Muhammad, this Hajj or pilgrimage, the big one Muslims do yearly, on a yearly basis, in a certain month. In the last pilgrimage, when Prophet had the idea, okay, perhaps this is the last pilgrimage of my life because he's a Prophet and he has full knowledge and he knows he's dying and these things, there is no dispute between Muslim Shi'is and Sunni about this event. They say Muhammad stopped the caravan, the huge crowd of people on the pilgrimage road, and he said, I want to tell you something very important at this location, and it is that Ali, come here. Ali was his son-in-law. He was married to his daughter, his only and most beloved daughter, from Khadija, from the Lady of Islam. And he was the second or first man to believe in him. He was his cousin at the same time. So Ali, he was a big fighter, also a man of great virtue and morality. And he said, whoever loves me, love Ali. And whoever thinks that I am okay. Now here the problem starts, like the word that Muhammad uses and how to translate it. Whoever I am wali for him, now Ali, this man, is wali for him. Sunni and Shi'i people have difficulty translating the word wali, which, okay, you can go back to the history of Arabic language and say, okay, wali at that time meant supporter, it meant guardian, it meant leader, it meant advocate, it meant a trusted person. Each of these translations of the word wali, can have many different political and practical, of course, implications. If you think that Muhammad is simply saying that if you trust me, trust Ali, it doesn't mean that Ali necessarily should become the next leader. You simply trust him. But this is the majority Sunni perspective. Like Ali is a trusted, wonderful, great person, man of wonderful morality and lifestyle and everything, but not the next political leader. Muhammad is not saying that I appoint him as the next leader. But for the Shi'i, it's very clear. If Prophet trusts him and he does not trust the others, so it means that Ali should be clearly the leader. But very clearly he was too young. And for the Arab community, with these codes of honor, with their masculine structure of social and political life, with the eldest one of the clan or society becoming the leader, the man, in Farsi we say the man with a long white beard should become the next leader, not this 25-year-old Ali who has some kind of mystical, spiritual, devotional feelings. At the same time, when he fights very strongly. Perhaps he will not lead because he's too young, and this is what happened at the night Muhammad died. These people, the eldest people, they gathered somewhere called Saqifa, and they decided that the oldest man, the father-in-law of Prophet Muhammad, who was also an important man in Islam, become the next leader, not Ali. And Ali was in the funeral for the Prophet, and they were deciding who should be the next leader. So you can imagine, unfortunately or unfortunately or automatically actually, history separates here. So these are two important readings if you would like to read about the crisis of Islam, which really impacts a lot also today's history and life of Muslims and also non-Muslims, because what happens in Muslim countries in the Middle East influences Europe also. So I'm really suggesting that if you would like to have a better understanding of, okay, what's happening in the Middle East, why so many migrants, why from these countries, who are they, what kind of differences do they have from? Why do some of them drink alcohol and say prayer, some of them don't? Some wear the burqa, some don't. So sometimes the answer to these questions can come from history. So these are two important writings, one by Wilfred Madelung, who has written a lot about Shia Muslims particularly, and Mahmoud Ayyub, both of them from North America. So now, who are the Shi'is? So now, what is the major historical difference between Shi'is and Sunni? The Sunni believe that, yes, we love Ali. Ali is the fourth caliph. But first came Abu Bakr, the eldest one, then Omar, the other older one, then Uthman, the other older one, and then only Ali when he was old enough to become the leader of the society, leader of the community. Very clearly for Muslims, the leader has a multi-dimensional responsibility. It's not only that you are a religious leader and the political leader is somebody else. Because faith has practical dynamics, practical implications. There is a faith is political, so it's not very clear. Actually, it's not very much, I would say, right to say that, okay, political theology is something different from the other theology things. But theology is political because it deals with the dynamics of relationship, power relations. Okay? So for Muslims, there is nothing that is not political. All is political. Very clearly, the leader of the community is politically leader, economically leader. He decides when to start a war, when to stop a war, who should go to hell or paradise, and he can intervene with divine matters, theological matters, and he leads the worship and everything, all this stuff. For Shi'i Muslims, it was very clear that Prophet Muhammad was introducing Ali and the line of Ali's children. So from Prophet Muhammad's daughter and from Prophet Muhammad's son-in-law and their children. This line, because God, for Shi'is, does not leave human beings alone. He shows them the way. He doesn't leave it to them to decide who should be the leader of the community. For them, for Shi'is, God has a plan. And this plan goes in an Abrahamic way, like there's a covenant that is made with Prophet Muhammad and his household, his grandchildren, the leaders of the community, the theologians of the community, those who can tell us what Islam is, what truth is, what kind of lifestyle should we continue. They are the children of Prophet Muhammad and his grandchildren, 12 of them. Because they are also infallible for Shi'i Muslims in a miraculous, theologically God decision to make them infallible, because you need to have infallible leaders so you can trust them and follow them. So you know the story of the ark, in the story of Noah, and how people and animals and all creatures on the ark, they were saved. For Shi'i Muslims, if you are on the ark of Prophet Muhammad and his family, if you follow them, then you will be saved in this life and in the afterlife. So there is an important salvation question for the society. So the problem in Islamic communities historically for Shi'i Muslims is that the caliphs come from hesitational background, like maybe they were not the right caliphs. The right caliphs were the family of the Prophet, but they didn't get the chance to become the leaders of the community. So the history of Islam for Shi'i Muslims is a history of diversion from truth and from the plan of God. So what do? You try to bring this line back to the right path, political. So martyrdom is important, political activism is important, because what you should do is to work hard and bring the power or authority back to the hand of the right people. But which people? These infallibles died 1,200 years ago. What about it? Yes. Now, here is the belief system of Shi'is. They believe in divine unity, the oneness of God, Tawheed, prophethood, resurrection, the three principles, but Shi'is add two also. So at school, you teach them to your children. We are Shi'i because we believe in 5 principles. Tawheed, oneness of God, prophecy, the truth of prophecy, resurrection, and that God is just. This is part of the principles, very interesting. A theological conception comes in, and belief in imamate, the leadership of this family of the Prophet. And then you can be saved. These are 14 including Prophet and his daughter and 12 of their children. But the point is, the last child disappeared, went into occult 1,200 years ago, but he's still living, you know. He's not dead. He's not considered dead. He's hearing us. Maybe he's sitting among us. So this is the Muslim belief. And at the end of life, he will come at the end of time together with Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ accompanies him, and they will save the world from injustice and oppression. But interestingly, at the end, they will also be killed again and life ends. So that is generally the story. One important point for many Shi'i Muslims, of course, many other Muslims also believe in the return of Savior. But particularly the Shi'is, they believe in the disappearance or occultation of this hidden Imam. In his absence, now we come to Iran. Welcome to Iran. In his absence, the Ayatollahs are in charge. Political theology. Prophet Muhammad dies, his son-in-law and people from his bloodline are the leaders. The last one does not die. He goes to heaven, or he's saved from a plan of assassination as a young child of 8 or 9, and then he transcends to God. What's the word in Christianity? He's lifted towards God. I don't have the exact word. He goes to God, but he's living there. He's not dead. And he has a number of vicegerents or agents. These are the scholars, theologians. He chooses them. They are the most knowledgeable of the society, at the same time the most moral of them, and they become the leaders automatically. But throughout the history of Islam, they didn't get a chance actually very much, because majority of Islamic land was Sunni and there were caliphs, until really the 1979 revolution in Iran. Of course, it was like 300 years ago. There were the Safavids, if you read into the history. But anyway, the most political ground open for these vicegerents or agents of God, or agents of the Imams, the hidden Imam, to rule over the society, came in 1979. So this is the city where I come from, Mashhad. Here is Tehran, the capital city, just below the, I don't have a mouse to show you. Here, you don't see, is where the city of Qom, Professor Franz has visited it. That is the mosque when one night a person had a dream of the hidden Imam, and the hidden Imam told him in the dream, build a house for me, build a mosque for me, so people can come and pray. So based on this dream, this house was built, and many seminaries and schoolhouses and clerics, they lived there, and it has become one political stronghold of the country today. So in 1979, the people of Iran, by the leadership of Ayatollah Khomeini, guardian, Wali Faqih, the high guardian, which automatically, theologically means he is a replacement or an agent of the hidden Imam. So the devil leaves, according to the chant that we used to say at the school, and the angel, not the angel, that angel, the angel arrives. So these vicegerents, agents of the hidden Imam or God, these continuities of Prophet Muhammad now inspired the revolution in Iran, religion generally, and religious authority. They showed a lot of charisma to collect the people in the 1979 revolution. So this is a Shi'i thing, okay? This is the changing of the wrong path of history from caliphate, unlawful and immoral caliphate of a number of people who had called themselves caliphs, toward the authority of those who have been chosen by the hidden imam to be the leaders of the community. They led the community and they came into government. So the Islamic Republic of Iran was invented, which is a political synthesis, political theological synthesis of religion and politics. So you see in the second article of our constitution law, all the elements of belief. Islamic Republic of Iran should facilitate belief in the one God, in divine revelation, in resurrection. See, they are part of our constitution law. And belief in the imams, because the majority, the state religion of Iran is Shia Islam. Shi'i understanding of Islam. Article 4, all civic, penal, financial, economic, administrative, cultural, military, political, and other, etc. Actually, the problem is this, etc., like everything. Sport, art, head covering, food you eat, international relations, where to sell oil, where to sell gas, where to sell the drones, and these things. They should all be decided by, led by the principles of faith. Like oneness of God should have an impact on your political relationship with the West, for instance. Or Article 12 clearly says that what is the religion of our community? This 12er. Why 12er? Because there were 12 of them, if you remember. Yeah? This 12er belief is the religion. But of course, minorities also exist. Which minorities? Minorities who have been reflected in the text of the Quran, because the main source of knowledge and practice of life for us is the Quran. Of course, interpreted by the infallibles, then by the ayatollahs, because they are agents. So the ayatollahs can interpret the Quran correctly and tell us how to live with it. Zoroastrianism, because there is some mention of Persians who are monotheists, Jews, Christians, and many others. I think the Christians in Iran, if I'm not mistaken, they are more Orthodox Armenians. They were moved by the force of a number of kings some 100 years ago to come to Iran, and now they're living politically. Religious minorities, also denominational minorities, like four main denominations of Islam are also accepted in Iran, and they all have one fix, at least one, at least one member in the parliament. So there are at least 1, 2, or some number of Christian, Jewish, Zoroastrian, other Sunni members in the Iranian parliament. This lecture today is coming to an end. I give you this motivation. So that is the story of history of Islam, where it started, who are the Shiites. So when we talk about Iranians and Iranian lifestyle or religiosity, we are talking about this kind of mentality. This is what was important for me to make clear before we can talk about many cases. In religious studies, it is very clear for us, for example, through the theories of Ninian Smart, the British scholar of religion, that religion does not have only doctrinal aspect. However you define religion, here we resort to a common sense understanding of religion. When you're talking about religion, you know what you're talking about. Of course, it's important theologically, sociologically, anthropologically to continue discussing how to define religion, and many scholars do that. But you can also suspend that and choose a common sense understanding of religion. Religion deals with God, humans, their relationships, afterlife, these things. Holy books, the basics. All religions, whatever they are, they have doctrinal, but also ritualistic, narrative, emotional, legal, ethical, institutional, political, aesthetic, material, economical aspects. And all these dimensions or aspects are intertwined and they are interrelated, they impact each other. That's how Shi'i life in Iran has to do a lot with political activism. So you have clerics who are members of the parliament, or who was the ex-leader and the present leader of Iran, or they go for parliamentary election and they win, they have their own party, and of course there are many parties of them because they disagree over many political and theological things. It is in educational system, at school, from the first grade, even in the kindergarten. It's important because I didn't bring it in one of the articles. The Islamic Republic of Iran government has an obligation. Of course, if it is Islamic Republic, then it has to teach and facilitate the teaching of Islam to children, and morality and moral life. It has to care for it, so it builds morality police to control if you're wearing the hijab correctly or not. And of course, control can also mean many things, like it's not always easy to control, because sometimes maybe this person whom you are controlling will give you a reaction, and then there is tension, and someone might fall and might die, or these things might happen. So, education of religion, the head covering, even for the tourist visitors. Yeah, she's leading her to the truth, to the salvation, and telling her that it is not moral of a Muslim lady or a lady in the Iranian Muslim context to wear something where your arm is shown, because according to the Islamic rules, only this part of your hand can be seen as a lady, and your face, not even your neck. And of course, let's talk about these more details tomorrow. I'm sure tomorrow will be more interesting, because we now know the basics, and now we know what we're talking about. Okay, what about hijab? There is no verse in the Quran that tells Muslim ladies to wear the hijab. There are a number of important verses that tell the Prophet's wives, O Prophet's wives, it is not good of you to dress like the other women dress. And the clerics, theologians, legalists, they take these, interpret them, and they say, clearly it means all women must cover like this. And they extend the area of inclusion, or actually exclusion. Anyway, let's talk about it tomorrow. So religious rituals and ceremonies are there, and the Islamic Republic of Iran, as an Islamic state, it has to invest in it. So many religious organizations, they pay to state TV, to state organizations, places of worship and pilgrimage. It is in art, and you will get invested. Actually, you will get a good fund if you deal with religious art, introduce it to different organizations, they will buy your ideas. So religion is economical, political, artistic, material, doctrinal. These are all in a puzzle, but very clear puzzle. They are all interrelated to each other. In sport, so playing with the Russian team, I think, or some kind of non-Islamic team, or after you make a goal, it is common to thank God you're making a goal, but sometimes the God of the Western teams is stronger, like Iran in the World Cup might lose to the United States, or it might lose to England and Wales. They are in one group. they call it the political group. Ukraine was going to be there, but that would be very much political, like Iran, Ukraine, US, and England. Having Russia would be very interesting. Anyway, in science, so okay, you can understand that one, the nurse is working. For some of them, it is more than a task or responsibility where they get paid. They also consider this as an act of moral good to do it. But of course, in Christianity, these kind of caring practices are more systematized, actually, not so much in Islam or in Shia Islam. But generally, any good thing you do is in favor of God, in favor of faith. But you can get paid for it. But there are also some kind of things you do, but you don't get paid for it. Like this is voluntary. Students and doctors and practitioners going to poor areas of Iran, although the Islamic Republic would like to say there are no poor areas. But anyway, to less rich parts of Iran to provide free volunteering service to children in poorer areas. The shrine in this mentality, this is the shrine of the 8th Imam. This is exactly the city where I come from, and University of Mashhad is there. This is Mashhad, the place of martyrdom. Mashhad means place of martyrdom. And the shrine there, so one of the grandchildren of Prophet Muhammad is buried there. You can imagine how important it is, because if you remember, these infallibles can intervene in your salvation if you follow them, even after life. If you have done some bad, they can ask for your forgiveness. 2 minutes. Yeah. They can ask for your forgiveness. This is what, according to the Shiite belief, is intercession. You have done bad, but you were a wonderful Shi'i believer, but you made some mistakes. Then the Imam can intervene and say, God, please forgive him. For the Shi'is, it's not something very funny, really. It is very much theological, because in the Quran it is written, God teaches Prophet Muhammad how to ask for forgiveness of the other people. So Shi'i Muslims say God allows for this intervention or intercession, because he taught Prophet Muhammad to ask for forgiveness of his community. So this is technically possible, to ask for the forgiveness of your people. That's why it is important for Shi'is, also a lot of Sunni and non-Muslims, like many Christians also, they get into these kinds of pilgrimages and they say we get the blessing, we get the healing, all kinds of things about these practices in many other religions also. So this shrine is a focus of religiosity and spirituality. It is a focus of blessing, that is blessed food, blessed rice, blessed salt, blessed drinks and chocolates. Anything that goes into this space becomes blessed. And every activity that you do, from birth to marriage to death, that is the coffin. The last point you say, you bring the dead person to say goodbye to the Imam, not to forget in the afterlife to ask for his forgiveness. For ritual practice and for long walks of pilgrimage, which we have also very much learned from Christian pilgrimage and Buddhist pilgrimage, and also for fashionable things like these Iranian celebrities taking pictures, or this lady in her special fashionable way. And there are certain periodic visits of the shrine, like at certain periods, for example, during the month of Ramadan, providing free food and free service. Thousands of people gather here to receive free food, free barakat or blessing. One drop of it can save you from fire of hell. To specific rituals, there are certain badges the servants of these shrines have. If you have this, this is your permission to paradise, actually. for a Muslim believer, Shi'i believer, the specific rituals, the drums. We have learned so much from Eastern Christianity, even the sound of the clock. And national events, yes, the replica of the Dome of the Rock, that is a mosque anyway, and all the money that people put in the shrine, and these clerics go to collect them for charity work, inshallah, I hope. And social work. There is a lot of blood donation. Iran is on the top level of world blood donation, because every blood of life that you give, it is because blood is sacred. For the children, ideas, even before the revolution, the Pahlavi modernist system was trying to use the force of religion, and Iranian foreign minister, today's president, this act of or showing that you are religious is an important part of your political campaign, and the leader of Iran. So what happened during the COVID-19 is what we are going to talk about tomorrow, and you can imagine how difficult it was for Shi'i Muslims to close the mosques, close the shrines. How can they continue their religiosity without a space that they need? And how digital space here came to work. Tomorrow we will talk about this, inshallah. Sorry. Oh. It was a little bit challenging for me. I knew it was also tiring, because when you talk about Islam and Shi'is, you're talking about something somehow completely weird. So I had to explain some basics. I'm sorry, I didn't plan to spoil your time.
No.
Really.
Okay, thank you very much. We had 10 minutes to spare for a discussion. Unfortunately, you have used your 10 minutes for lecturing. So if you have any questions, please use your time during lunch break, or maybe save your questions for another lecture. Or tomorrow, for tomorrow. And now I would like to thank you once again for your introduction, and we are looking forward for your next lecture.
Yeah, tomorrow I will present 2 case studies. One, the COVID-19, and how digital and non-digital it was, hyper-mediated. And then the case of women, because this hijab fight also today is both digital and non-digital, so I will talk about
excellent, up-to-date issue.
Yeah.
Have a nice rest of the day. If you are going to join the panel discussion, which starts at 2:00 p.m., please visit the room number 8, I guess. Yeah, it's in room number 8. So thank you very much for attending the lecture today, and see you tomorrow. Goodbye.